Okay, so like imagine this, right? You're facing this like impossible choice,
Yeah.
and it's like you're literally standing in a fiery furnace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Refuse to compromise, and like you lose it all.
Yeah.
That's the kind of intensity we're diving into today.
Wow.
The story of those three Hebrew young men,
Oh, yeah. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
right, from the book of Daniel.
Powerful story.
Yeah, and to like guide us, we've got the insights of Ellen G. White.
Oh, fantastic.
She's that prolific Christian author, whose writings have just inspired like generations of believers.
It's a story that's just as relevant today, as it was back then.
Oh, for sure.
It reminds us that real faith, it often means standing alone even when like the heat is on.
Yeah, and we're going deep, right? We're drawing from the My Life Today devotional
Okay.
on the Ellen G. White estate.
Yeah.
It's focusing on Daniel 3.24-25.
Okay.
And what I find so fascinating is how she connects this ancient story
Yeah.
to like the challenges we face today.
Oh, absolutely.
Showing us how to stand firm in our faith, even when it feels like the whole world is against us.
That's the beauty of Scripture, isn't it?
Totally.
It speaks across time, across cultures, offering timeless wisdom for everyone.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage.
Okay.
We're in Babylon.
Right.
It was this powerful empire known for its grandeur and its
Yeah.
idolatry.
Mm-hmm.
Nebuchadnezzar the king commands everyone to bow down and worship this giant golden statue.
Oh.
Now, this wasn't just about like appreciating art.
Right.
It was a power play,
Oh, yeah.
a demand for absolute loyalty.
Big time.
But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those three young men serving in the Babylonian court,
Yeah.
they refused to like compromise their faith
Hmm.
in the one true God.
Their refusal was an act of incredible courage.
Oh, yeah.
When you consider what was at stake,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a culture where defying the king meant certain death.
That's crazy.
Yet their commitment to God was stronger than their fear.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
And Ellen G. White captures it so well.
How does she put it?
She says, these three Hebrews possessed genuine sanctification.
Right.
True Christian principle will not stop to weigh consequences.
Powerful.
Now, sanctification,
Yeah.
you hear that a lot.
We do.
But what does it actually mean, especially in this context?
You're right. It's a word that's often used but not always fully understood.
Yeah.
Essentially, sanctification is about setting your life apart for God.
Okay.
Living in a way that His principles guide your choices even when those choices are hard.
So it's not just about like saying we believe,
No.
it's about living it out.
Absolutely. Aligning our actions with our beliefs even when it's tough.
And think about Babylon, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was all about power and conformity,
Right.
worshiping the created things instead of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
So for these young men to stand up and say, no, our allegiance is to God alone,
Wow.
that was radical.
Absolutely. Their defiance, it challenged the very core of Babylonian society. It was like a public declaration, saying there's a higher power than even Nebuchadnezzar.
And it takes us to another fascinating part of this story.
What's that?
They weren't just passively pious,
Right?
They weren't hiding their faith.
No.
They were serving in these prominent positions in the government,
Wow.
actively engaged in a culture so different from their own.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and Ellen G. White emphasizes this.
What does she say?
She says, these faithful Hebrews possessed great natural ability.
Yeah.
They had enjoyed the highest intellectual culture and now occupied a position of honor. But all this did not lead them to forget God.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it wasn't about like retreating from the world, but being a light in it,
Yeah?
Makes me think, how can we as Christians today follow their example?
Hmm.
How can we live out our faith, in our daily lives, especially in tough situations like at work or in social settings where our beliefs maybe aren't so welcome?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
It's a tough one. Yeah, that's the real challenge, isn't it? How to do that.
It is.
And the answer is, it's not always so simple.
Right.
But one thing that really stands out to me in this story
Yeah.
is their unwavering courage to stand alone.
Yeah.
Everyone around them is bowing down,
Right.
conforming to the king's demands. But these three,
Uh-huh.
they refuse to budge.
It's like they drew a line in the sand
They did.
and said, this is where we stand, no compromises.
Exactly.
And Ellen White really gets to the heart of it.
Yeah, what does she say?
She writes, true Christian principle will not stop to weigh consequences. It does not ask, what will people think of me if I do this? Or how will it affect my worldly prospects if I do that?
Those are some powerful words.
They really are.
Because let's face it,
Yeah?
we all consider the consequences. We all worry about what other people think. It's just natural.
It is.
But this story, it really challenges us to
Yeah.
ask ourselves, what are we willing to sacrifice for our faith? Where do we draw the line?
Right.
The line that we won't cross no matter what.
That tension between principle and consequence, is something I wrestle with all the time,
I hear you.
How do we know when to stand firm, even if it means like losing our job or being isolated from others? And when is it okay to adapt, to compromise
Right.
without compromising our core values?
It's a tough one.
It is.
It's a delicate balance, and there's no easy answer.
Right.
But, this story, it gives us some key principles to think about.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first of all, we need to really understand God's will as it's revealed in the Bible, and through prayer. It's not about just blindly following rules.
Right.
It's about aligning our lives with God's heart,
Yeah.
seeking his wisdom in every situation.
So it's about being grounded,
Yeah,
not just reacting to the pressure around us.
exactly. And secondly, we need to trust that God is in control.
Mhm.
Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They didn't know they'd be saved from the furnace.
Right.
They were stepping out in faith,
Uh-huh.
believing that even if the worst happened,
Yeah.
God would be with them.
It's about letting go of the outcome,
It is.
trusting that he's got it all in hand.
Absolutely. Even when things feel chaotic and uncertain.
That's a hard lesson to learn,
Yeah,
but it's where real peace comes from,
it is.
and their act of defiance.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about personal integrity.
No.
It became this powerful public testimony.
It did.
The kings, the whole court, they all saw it,
Yeah, their unwavering faith.
defying the odds.
Amazing.
And that takes us to like one of the most dramatic moments
Oh, yeah.
when they're thrown into the fiery furnace.
Wow.
Now, most of us haven't faced a literal fiery furnace, but I think we can all relate to those times in life,
Yeah.
when we feel surrounded by flames, those situations that really test our faith.
You're right. And it's often in those moments that we experience God's presence the most. Remember when the king looks into the furnace? He doesn't see 3 figures.
No.
He sees 4
Whoa.
walking in the flames.
And that fourth figure,
Yes.
it's described as being like the Son of God.
Incredible.
Right. What an image of God's protection,
Yeah.
his presence in our toughest trials.
Think about the impact on Nebuchadnezzar, this
Yeah.
powerful king used to getting his own way
Oh.
to see this supernatural event.
Wow.
It must have challenged everything he thought he knew.
Must have been incredible.
It was.
Terrifying and awe-inspiring all at once.
Absolutely. And, it highlights something really important.
What's that?
God doesn't always deliver us from the fire,
Right.
but he promises to be with us in it.
Yeah, you've hit on a crucial truth.
And Ellen White goes beyond just retelling the story,
Yeah,
She writes, "In their wonderful deliverance were displayed, before that vast assembly, the power and majesty of God. Jesus placed himself by their side in the fiery furnace, and by the glory of his presence convinced the proud king of Babylon that it could be no other than the Son of God."
Wow.
She's pointing us to a deeper truth.
Yeah, that even when we're facing those fiery trials, those times when everything feels like it's falling apart, God is right there with us.
He is, and not just watching, but
Right.
actively involved.
Wow.
He may not always take away the trial,
Right.
but he offers his strength, his comfort, his peace to help us through it.
It makes me think about all those times, when I've gone through those tough times,
Yeah.
those moments when I felt like I couldn't go on, but somehow by God's grace, I made it through.
And it's often through those challenging times, those fiery trials, that our faith is refined, our character is strengthened,
Okay.
and our dependence on God grows deeper.
We come out of the fire
Yeah.
transformed. So it's not that if we're faithful,
Right.
God will always protect us from hardship.
Yeah.
It's that even when we go through those fiery furnaces,
Yeah.
he'll be right there with us every step of the way.
Exactly. And that changes everything.
It
It
does.
shifts our focus
From what?
from trying to avoid the fire
Okay.
to trusting God in the fire.
It's about finding that balance, right? Between trusting God and taking responsibility for our actions.
Yeah.
We don't just sit back and wait for God to rescue us.
No.
We actively seek his guidance, his wisdom, his strength.
To navigate those challenges.
And that leads us to another point that Ellen White brings up.
Oh, what's that?
She writes, "What a lesson is here given to the faint-hearted, the vacillating, the cowardly in the cause of God."
Those are strong words.
They are.
But I think she's trying to wake us up.
Yeah, it's like she's saying, hey, wake up. Don't be lukewarm in your faith. Don't let fear stop you from living out your convictions. It's a call to be bold, to be courageous, to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard.
You got it. And she doesn't just leave us there, you know.
No.
She offers hope.
Okay.
She goes on to say, every Christian may enjoy the blessing of sanctification.
There's that word again, sanctification.
And it's not just a one-time thing, you know.
Right.
It's a process.
Of becoming more like Christ.
Yeah, surrendering to him.
Letting his spirit transform us.
Exactly. And it's a process that's open to all of us.
No matter where we are in our faith journey.
Exactly. We don't have to have it all figured out.
Right.
We can start right now.
Yeah.
With the challenges and opportunities we have today.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing to align our lives with God's will.
And trusting his grace to work in us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's that surrender.
Yeah.
You know, that willingness to let God work in us. That's where the real freedom and joy is.
It is.
And as we've been talking about these like fiery furnaces, you know, the ones we face in our modern world,
Yeah.
one that really stands out to me, especially as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian,
Okay.
is the pressure to compromise our Sabbath,
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
especially in today's world. You
You're
know?
right. It's so fast-paced.
It is. It's always on.
Yeah, it can feel like a constant battle.
It is.
Just to carve out that sacred time, you know?
Yeah,
Resist the pressure to work, to shop, to be connected all the time.
exactly. We might face pressure from our employers, our friends, even our families, you know?
Oh, yeah.
People who just don't get it.
They don't understand.
Our commitment to keeping the seventh day holy.
Right, they see it as just another day.
Exactly. But for us, it's different.
It is. It's a sanctuary.
A gift from God.
A day set apart.
And that tension
Yeah.
between what we believe and what the world expects of us,
It's real.
it can feel like a fiery furnace.
It can.
Will we give in, you know,
Right.
compromise what we believe?
Or will we stand firm?
Even if it means ridicule or losing our jobs or being isolated.
It's a true test of faith.
It is. And it reminds us that being a Christian,
Especially a Sabbath-keeping Christian.
yeah,
It often comes at a price.
it does.
But just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego,
Yeah.
we can find strength in knowing that God sees our commitment, you know?
He does, even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard. And it's not about legalism or trying to earn God's favor.
It's about recognizing the Sabbath as a gift.
Yes, a day for rest, for renewal, for connecting with God.
And that commitment, it becomes a powerful witness.
It does.
You know, it shows the people around us
Yeah.
that our faith isn't just about rules or rituals.
Right.
It's about a real relationship.
Oh, with a God who deserves our obedience and our love. It's like we're saying, God, I love you so much that I'm willing to put you first.
Right.
Even when it's hard, even when it means going against the flow, even when it means standing alone.
And in that surrender, you know, that willingness to put God above everything else, that's where we find real freedom and joy.
We find that rest that we're all searching for.
That peace that passes all understanding. It's not about earning his favor or proving ourselves.
Right.
You know, it's about responding to his love.
With gratitude, with obedience.
That's what makes this story so powerful.
The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah. It reminds us that no matter what fiery furnaces we face,
Whether it's pressure to compromise,
or temptations that pull us away from God,
or just the everyday struggles of life,
God is with us.
he is.
He doesn't promise to take away the trials,
No.
but he promises to be with us in them.
To give us his strength, his comfort, his peace.
And that's the beauty of the gospel, isn't it?
It is.
It's not about us being perfect,
It's about God's grace.
covering our imperfections and giving us the power to live for him.
Yeah. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this amazing story,
Let's remember the courage of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
let their example inspire us to face our own fiery furnaces,
With conviction,
knowing that with God by our side,
we can overcome anything.
and come out stronger on the other side.
And remember, even when you feel alone, there's a whole community of believers out there.
Cheering you on, praying for you, walking alongside you.
Let's encourage each other, support each other, and together.
Be those shining lights.
In a world that so desperately needs God's love and grace,
What a powerful reminder.
that even the smallest acts of faithfulness
Can make a difference.
impacting those around us in ways we may never fully know.
So until next time, keep seeking, Keep growing and keep the faith.
And remember, God is with you every step of the way.